Should you focus on skills or weighted calisthenics? This is a thing that a lot of people debate within their own head, and I'm going to be trying to give you some context. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brandon Maloney. Some of the things that I've managed to achieve with weights and skills, I've done 50 kilos for a couple sets of 10 reps on weighted dips, 50 kilos for sets of 4, and then like some back off sets afterwards with 50 kilos, 4 reps on weighted pull-ups. I deadlift like 180 probably. Like right now I'm a little bit weaker than I used to be. The heaviest I ever pulled I think was 185, but I kind of failed it. I got it up to my knees, but I couldn't lock it out. Now probably somewhere around 180. Learning to low bar squat. I'm not going to tell you that number yet because it's really bad. I just got over a hip injury. With skills, I've achieved 67 handstand push-ups in one session. I can do one arm pull-ups. I can hold 4 6-second front lever, something like that, straightening out the form currently. So like 3 seconds with like absolute perfect like symmetry. I can planche 2-ish seconds, something along those lines, just over 2 seconds. No dip muscle ups with added weight. I can do crazy no dip muscle ups, slow muscle ups, all that kind of stuff. I can do like the super wide slow muscle ups where you grab the bars on the side and you like have to rotate your elbows in and then do this type of thing. 90-degree handstand push-ups, all that kind of stuff. I'm fairly credible when it comes to this conversation, and I just want to give some insight. I'm going to be giving you a full guide to weighted, just kind of how you train it, the things you can expect, the bad parts about it, the good parts about it, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be giving you a full guide to skills, and then I'm going to be telling you how to combine them if that's something that you desire. But first, we need to even understand which one should you go for. You can skip around in this video. It doesn't really matter. This is the type of thing that like you watch, you sit down, and you actually pay attention to, because I'm going to try and give you like as much value as I possibly can. How do you know if you should focus on one or the other? And I'm going to put it fairly simple because I've also coached people. I've worked with other athletes, all this type of stuff. I'm going to make it very simple. If you have not been training for at least 1 to 2 years, dedicating a lot of that time to weight training is going to be your best bet. What happens is a lot of guys get into the habit or get into the mindset of if they want to learn skills, that means they have to do it right now. The thing is, you have muscles, which everybody knows about, and obviously, you know, if you're stronger, you're going to be better at the skills just because you're able to produce more force. A lot of people don't really talk about that. It's kind of like a spat on thing in the calisthenics community of like you being strong equals better skills. Like look at Larry Wheels. He learned planche, like 4 or 5 second planche in like a month. I learned like a 2-second planche in a month, and I'm nowhere near Larry Wheels, obviously, but you kind of get what I mean. Pound for pound, we might be similar enough to where that's the case. I don't know. I don't know how strong he is, like proportionate to his body weight. He weighs like freaking 300 pounds, but anyways. You're able to learn these skills fairly quickly and get to a decent level after you've been weightlifting for a while. And the thing is, I found you get the most amount of diminishing returns after the 2-year mark. So what does that mean? Essentially, you make newbie gains, which is when you first start training, your body gains muscle and strength very, very quickly. I found that somewhere around 50% of your body weight on weighted dips for 10 reps is best. And inside my free program, first link in the description, I have all that listed out. And then 30% of your body weight for 8 reps on weighted pull-ups before you can go into learning handstand push-ups and muscle-ups and all that kind of stuff. And you're able to get to a really high level in those. You can continue, obviously, if you're making good gains, but that seems to be where people kind of start to stagnate a tiny bit and they make slower progress. Something that, again, I recommend, you're going to make crazy disproportionate gains to what you're actually able to do and actually able to accomplish in the beginning, proportionate to like the rest of your like skill level. So kind of what that means is if you're to have a 1 rep max of 10 kilos on pull-ups, so you're able to do pull-ups with 10 kilos, it's not very difficult to up that by 40, 50 kilos. Especially if you're a bigger guy, so you'll be stronger, like overall. So you have a higher level of absolute strength. Pound for pound strength isn't going to be as good, but absolute strength is going to be much higher. So you'll be able to lift more weight, just not as big of a percent of your body weight. If you're able to do that, that's only going to take you like a couple months, but you're going to like 5x, 6x your pulling strength. Obviously not overall because you have your own body weight, but it's going to be a much larger percentage than somebody who pulls 100 kilos and wants to get to 110, because that's going to take them maybe a year to get up to, because the more progressed you are, the slower that you progress. So if you're a beginner, it's probably best to focus mostly on weights. And my program, I have everything listed out on how to train your joints and all this type of stuff, and weighted pull-ups and weighted dips and incline pressing and horizontal pressing, just getting you strong everywhere, because that's the most important thing for a beginner. If you're a more advanced guy, if you've gotten to the point to where you're kind of satisfied with how muscular you are, like me, I have kind of big arms, like all that kind of stuff. Humble brag, I've been weightlifting for a while. It's something that I really enjoy, so I keep doing it. But I did have a period for a couple of weeks where I only did skills training, and I'm kind of still in that period, but I'm adding like some powerlifting stuff and all that type of thing just because I kind of miss it. If you're to the level to where you have pretty good basics, you're pretty strong, you can do above 50% of your body weight for 10 reps on weighted dips and above 30% of your body weight, 40% of your body weight for 8 reps on weighted pull-ups, then you're more than strong enough to start skills. That's kind of the caveat. I'm going to be giving you a full guide to weights now. So essentially, how weightlifting works for weighted calisthenics, for street lifting, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go more into like weighted calisthenics, and I'm going to assume you want strength that is going to transfer to skills. And this is going to be a little bit different than absolute strength. So absolute strength, what I'm talking about is like a 1 rep max. We're not going to really be focused on a 1 rep max. This stuff is obviously going to bring it up, and I can give some examples here and there, but I'm mostly going to be focusing on strength that applies to skills. What I've found is a set of 6 to 8 will apply better to skills than a set of 1. That sounds a little bit funny, because if you can do, let's say 40 kilos for 8 reps, for example, your 1 rep max is probably like 60 to 70 kilograms. If you're only training for a 1 rep max, that same guy could probably get to 75, 80 kilograms, right? Because it's more specific to what he was going for. But it's going to apply less to skills because of one thing: the technical aspect. When you do sets of 6 to 8, you're actually not getting as good at the movement, which is why your 1 rep max, it doesn't go up as much. You're not getting as good at the movement. So what happens is you build a more general base of strength that applies to different things easier. This is like crazy theory crafting. I don't really have a ton of evidence to back this, but it makes a ton of sense to me from my journey and people that I've coached. And it kind of makes sense because when they used to go for like 1 rep maxes and stuff like that, they weren't able to do like specific things and weren't able to transfer to specific movements. But the second I had them switch over to a more moderate rep range of like 6 to 8, 6 to 10, something along those lines, they actually started making progress in more things. It's a little bit crazy, but when you do 1 rep maxes, you actually get so specified towards the movement that you only really get good the movement. So if you were to do a set of 6, for example, or 8, for example, for pull-ups, that would apply better to muscle-ups, or maybe even sets of 5, like higher volume, but like still sets of 5. Than doing sets of 3, like a 3x3 for pull-ups. Obviously, there's periods to do both, and if the 3x3 is super explosive and you're only doing it for a short period of time, and it's not actually slowing you down, but it's making you more explosive because you're converting the base of strength you build up to power, so there's a lot of periodization elements that you can put into there, then that would actually help. But generally speaking, if you just want to have like one consistent routine that you follow until you plateau, so a lot of guys they know like, okay, every once in a while you have to kind of change things up with your training, but they don't like map it out over like week by week. Like this 4 weeks I'm going to do hypertrophy, and this 4 weeks I'm going to do strength. It's kind of like, I'm going to use this rep range until I stop progressing. Then when I stop progressing or I start slowing down in progress or I kind of get bored, I'm going to switch to this rep range. That's how most people do it. So when that happens, you can just switch over between the two. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on 3x3s. I'm not doing any weighted pulling because I'm kind of conserving like my lats and my elbows for planche and front lever holds. But something that you can try is switching between the two, especially if you want to apply it to like muscle ups and all that type of thing. And weights apply very well to dynamic skills. So you might not be able to hold a planche if you're really strong at weighted dips, but I would guarantee after like 3 workouts, if you're able to dip like, again, 50 to 80% of your body weight for 10 reps, oh my God, you're more than able to. I would guarantee you're able to do planche push-ups. And it sounds crazy. You wouldn't be able to lock out at the top, but I guarantee you're able to do planche push-ups. How? Because I've seen it with other people that I've talked to, I've worked with, and I've done it myself. I'm able to do like 3, 4, 5 planche push-ups. but I'm not able to hold a planche for longer than like a second or two. And when I first started planche training, I was able to do multiple reps, like 1, 2, 3 reps of planche push-ups. And it wasn't a ton of swing. My feet weren't really hitting the ground. Like sometimes they did, but it was like a graze. Like obviously I'm not saying like you'll be able to do it in perfect form, but you'll be able to do the movement just because having a strong chest, having strong triceps, having strong shoulders, being able to just extend your elbow kind of with like retard level strength is just going to objectively make you stronger. Next thing, I'm going to be giving you a general guide to skills, because a lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people treat skills like it's weightlifting, and that's wrong. So you'll see people do 3 sets of 5 reps on muscle ups, and then they'll go over to band and muscle ups, and then to get more volume in, they'll do 3 sets of 5 reps and whatever. I am a complete autist when it comes to 2 things. Specificity. I love how I held up these 2 fingers and I held up these 2. Give me your money, bro. I have coaching. I'm a complete autist when it comes to these 2 things, and I'm going to tell you exactly what they are after I get this thing out of my eye. Specificity and just doing what applies to the movement. Specificity, but doing what you're looking for the movement. So I forgot what the second thing was, and I might remember it in a second, but specificity and total time. Let's say that's what it was. Total time, total reps, something along those lines. Essentially, when you're trying to get better at muscle ups, what is it that you're trying to do? 9 times out of 10 people want to be more explosive. So you want to go from pulling here to pulling here to pulling here, and then pulling with like mostly straight arms, and then barely doing a dip at the top, and then doing a full dip at the top. You do the explosive like boosh type thing, and then you come down, and then you come to a dead stop, and you do it again. Those are perfect muscle ups, perfect no dip muscle ups, 0 swing, 0 momentum, 0 nothing. I can do those. I'm credible to talk to you about this because, again, I've helped other people do it, and I've given them advice, and the advice I've given has worked. And obviously, like, not everybody I've given advice to has gotten to a no-dip muscle-up because people just haven't had enough time to do that. And also, they do stuff wrong on top of that, and maybe the method doesn't work, or they did it wrong, or they don't have the work capacity to do what I'm about to say. But in most cases, they improve, is my point. Ditch the band, ditch the progressions, ditch the muscle-up progressions. For example, and this is a muscle-up example, and this applies very similarly to handstand push-ups, and I'll give a little bit of a caveat. I'm mostly going to be talking about these 2 skills because I'm most credible in them. So I'm not going to be giving you like a full front lever guide and a full planche guide because I'm not like good at them. I can do them, but I'm not good at them. It's like an amateur tennis player like trying to teach you how to play tennis. Like obviously if he's been doing it for a while and he's just doing it for fun, but if he's been kicked out of the pro league like 18 times or not accepted to the pro league 18 times, why are you taking tennis advice from him? Obviously he's doing something wrong, especially when there's other people on the internet who are just better than me, who just maybe don't make content like this that you can watch. Muscle ups, for example. What you can do is instead of doing 3 sets of 5, why don't you do the most specific thing, which is being most explosive? The thing is, when you do muscle ups, you get fatigued right around rep 3 or 4 for most people. So you stop being as explosive. And if your goal is to be explosive as possible, why not only do explosive reps? I'm going to say that again. If your goal is to be as explosive as possible, why not do explosive reps? So instead of doing 3 sets of 3 to 5, why not do 6 sets of 2? Because they equal roughly the same number of total reps, so you're getting the same amount of practice in, but the 6 sets of 2 are going to be higher quality because you'll be able to be more explosive. You'll have more rest in between sets. Now, this is going to take longer, obviously, but do you want the workout to be shorter, or do you want to get better results? If you want better results, doing more sets is going to be more beneficial. Even doing less sets, I've noticed, is more beneficial, or doing less reps per set, I should say, in this case. So 3 sets versus 3 sets, doing only 2 reps here versus doing 5 reps here. This group, as long as you're like still able to maintain technicality, and there's obviously you're not going to get like super good at the movement, and you're not going to get super stiff and be able to move your pelvis and legs in all the right ways. But this group, I've noticed, actually makes better progress than this group because of the fact that the goal is being explosive. That's all you care about, so why not be as explosive as possible? And this doesn't mean add like the heaviest band you can and just like fly over the bar. You can try that, but why not just work with your body weight, and over time you clean up the reps, 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 and then you make them better and better and better and better. And then after a certain period of time, you'll be so good that you're just pulling over. That's how you need to be training that if your goal is being explosive. Now, if your goal is reps, obviously train reps. High rest times, lots of sets, lots of reps, that kind of thing. For handstand push-ups, for example, it's very similar. You do higher sets. So handstand push-ups, if you're strong already, this is the craziest thing. If you're already strong, you can up the volume like crazy. Because if you think about it, if you do weighted dips, for example, and you weigh, just to keep it simple, you weigh 100, let's say 70 kilos, and you do weighted dips with 50 kilos for 10 reps, you're freaking strong. You're ridiculously strong. Like, obviously not ridiculously by like a street lifting standard, but by a normal person standard and like a body weight standard, doing body weight dips and body weight movements, those are just easy for you. If you were to get into a handstand and if you were to do the negative, there's not a lot of tension, because the thing is, your chest, your upper chest, your shoulders, your triceps, all that stuff is just so strong that your body weight just isn't adding a lot of tension. Versus the guy who never trained weights, who never focused on getting stronger, he has a ton of tension because the muscles are in a weird position. Overhead, you're slightly weaker. They're not used to it, all that kind of stuff. The guy who put time into learning weights, even if the guy who didn't takes a little bit longer to learn the handstand push-up, or is able to do like 1-2 handstand push-ups, whatever, I got from 0 to 67 handstand push-ups in a session in like 6 months. And that's with the caveat of I took a 2-month break in between, and I was focused mainly 95% on weightlifting the entire time. I added muscle ups and I added handstand push-ups for my own personal enjoyment. And I got to that level. I tell people this progress, and I'm in communities with literally thousands of people. I tell people this progress and I share it, and I have people like low key, like kind of jealous, because they're like, "What? How did that happen?" And I tell them, and because so many guys online demonize weightlifting, because a lot of people go overboard, like the Ian Barsigals, and I can't even think of anyone else who talks about weightlifting when it comes to calisthenics, but like the Ian Barsigals, for example, people like that who kind of say like, "Oh my God, this is what you have to do. Like if you can do 40 kilo dips, you can full planche for 10 seconds, like your first workout ever. Oh my God." They demonize it. Getting stronger is a good thing, 100%. Now, there's levels to it. Obviously, if you're pulling 90 kilos, you don't have to get to a 100 kilo pull-up. But being able to be stronger, especially in the beginning stages, are going to make you better. And that's the whole reason I made the free program that I already talked about, I think. I don't remember if I did that in this video or not. I kind of forgot. Handstand push-ups is the same thing. I'm not going to give you like a full guide here because I have them for my free community, and I also have like a paid program that's in there. It's in pre-sale, the link inside the community. I don't share it online because the only people who get the pre-sale are in my community. So those people get it cheapest. So if you want it, then join the community. How do you combine them? I kind of went over like a general thing to skills. How do you combine them? And I have a full guide from 0 to 70 handstand push-ups on my channel if you want more context on that, and muscle-ups. How do you combine them? There's something that I found called the skills percentage system. And that's kind of what I call it. I don't know if it's actually called that, but that's what it is. And it's being able to train skills at very high frequency, but also not killing yourself with the intensity. So I'm going to take handstand push-ups for example, because it's the easiest skill to do this with. It's the simplest. What you're going to do is, let's say you train handstand push-ups 5 times a week. You might be thinking like, oh my God, my arms are going to come off. Yes. End of video. See you, bro. Yes. But the thing is, you would only train hard once or twice a week. And you would only go for breaking PRs once or twice a week. And what you would do in between those sessions is you would do lighter sessions. So you would do 30% of the work you normally do. So let's say you do 50 handstand push-ups in a session. Instead of doing 50, you're going to do, I'm trying to do math off the top of my head, 130% fit. You would do 15 reps. If you can do 50 handstand push-ups, doing 15 reps over the course of like however many sets, so that's like 3 sets of 5, because I would imagine you would do like 10 sets of 5 for 50 reps, something along those lines. That's really easy. That's like ridiculously easy. That's not difficult at all, because again, you're focused on technique, you're focused on volume, and you're focused on intensity last. I made like in one of my programs, I have like a skills intensity volume equation. I forgot what it's called, but essentially like you input and this is completely autistic, and this is the type of stuff that I put into my paid programs. It's not released yet, but it probably will be, like, at the time of recording this. By the time you see this, I should say, because I'm record these like very far back. Like, I'm recording this like many weeks before it's out. What is it? I believe it's the amount of sets that you do, or the amount of total reps that you do, multiplied by 1.5, and then it's the RPE scale. So out of 10, how hard did you try on average per set, or maybe for the last set, I forgot what I did, and you multiply that by 1.2. Then you take those values and then divide it by your technique out of 10. So if you have like 8 out of 10 technique, you divide it by 8. Oh no, that would be backwards. I don't remember how I did it, to be honest. And obviously you don't have to use this equation. This is mostly just like me being autistic and just trying to find out, like, the whole point of the equation is that 50 total reps for 5 sets of 10 is the same, is different, and that's better than 10 sets of 5, because you're able to practice movement more and you're not going to as high of an intensity. Now, if your goal is max out sets, max out reps, whatever, then obviously this one is better, but that's just kind of the general gist of what I mean. Kind of giving you a full guide to both, and giving you a full guide on how to combine both. The percentage system is very important, because you lower the percent of weighted training or of skills training on the day you do weights to not affect the weight. So what would that look like? Monday, you're doing push. Let's say you're doing weights on that day. You do 30 to 50% of what you normally do for handstand push-ups on push. So you do handstand push-ups first, and then you would do weighted dips, for example, and then like incline pressing, and then you can do like your triceps and your shoulder stuff. Then what you do is Thursday, when you come back, what you can try is you can do, assuming you're not sore, you can do higher intensity push work. Or something you can do is, because handstand push-ups don't make you sore at all, you can do, this is something that I've done, 100% handstand push-ups on Monday, Tuesday rest, Thursday do push, where you do lighter intensity handstand push-ups, but you do weighted dips. And then you just repeat the cycle. Rest a couple of days, and then you do more handstand push-up stuff. And I've literally done handstand push-up work every single day for some periods. It doesn't really matter. It's just a total amount of volume that you do. As long as your wrists feel fine, and your shoulders feel fine, and your elbows feel fine, you're completely fine. There's nothing wrong with any of it. It's just what works specifically for you, and be honest with how you feel. If your wrists hurt, if your elbows hurt, then don't do it. I had to stop training planche super hard because I failed to condition my thumbs properly. And I pulled my thumb, I injured myself, and now when I go like this with my thumb, it hurts. So that was my mistake. Don't be a retard. Don't make mistakes with this. I'm telling you, skills are not things that you want to get injured on. One, because you're going to keep doing them anyway, and it's such weird pressure on your wrists and on your forearms and on your shoulders and elbows and all that kind of stuff. Such strange pressure. Your wrists aren't meant to be stood on for long periods of time. But just don't be an idiot. Listen to your body. I've got nothing else. I have a free program, first link in the description. My name has been Brandon. I'm going to take a sip of coffee and prove that you have a bad attention span. Keep doing the best and doing your best. Trust God. Signing off.